Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Here we are again.
Here we are live again. Can't believe it's been another week.
Wow.
With our second couple talk about secret stories about love, sex, relationship. And
today's a big one. Huh?
Today's a big one. And I think so many can relate to this because we want to talk about sex, orgasms, and the pressure to perform. And hand to the heart, like to everybody watching right now who knows this, like who knows the feeling of like feeling pressure, you know, to reach a goal, to reach something. I think I do. And yeah. I think a lot more women know also, and men and women. So let's wait a little bit if anybody else wants to come in. And hello to everybody who's here already. Maybe you want to let us know where you're watching from. Where are you from? We're a bit early today, actually, you know. Usually we do them at 7. And then today we have a workshop right afterwards, so we needed to move it a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. I know a lot of people are going to watch it in the replay also. Yeah. All right, so sex, orgasms, and the pressure to perform. Where do we start? Maybe with us. So when we first met, you know, I think that's always a good one to start with. This is something that was like, that took away so much, like it took away all the pleasure and lust that I could feel for sex. You know, I didn't feel the desire for sexuality or intimacy because in my head, there was always like this pressure that I needed to reach something, this pressure to please you, you know, and that took away everything, you know, there was like not even the desire to get intimate. So this was me like a few years ago. How was it for you?
And the funny part is, or the funny story, we started and you were brave enough to try it, at least. And as we started and we ended up in a mess, maybe.
We started with like getting intimate anyway. Huh?
Yeah. And it was like, why did we end it here? Why is it becoming so
gluey, like so sticky?
And the energy
yucky.
Was, it was like, so... And at the end, we just reflected it. And at the end, it was like you were trying to please me and I was trying to please you. Because my beliefs were, I'm the man and the man is responsible for satisfying the woman.
Yeah.
And
my beliefs were, I mean, it's a big one. I used to be, and I still sometimes am a people pleaser. So I was so afraid not to please you. Because then there was like a deep fear underneath, the fear of not being wanted, the fear of not being loved if I am not pleasing you.
Yeah.
And these two things came together, you know?
Of course, it goes directly to your core beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are your core belief systems and how, they show in sexuality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, there were we stuck, right? I want to please you, you want to please me. And it ended up with no one pleased no one, and it was no sex at all. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
So.
And we talked about this earlier. You know, the funny thing is, if there's two people and I am just busy with pleasing you, and you're busy with pleasing me, you know, just like think about it for a moment. Then I am not open to receive anything. But you are not open to receive either. So I am busy trying to please you, but you are not open because you are busy to please me.
Yeah.
Get this, like really get this point, okay? Because I think a lot of couples, a lot of people, like, you know, when it comes to sex, this is a huge one.
So this is a deadlock. And
it is.
How to get out of it?
How do we get out of it? Where to start? How did we get out of it? I remember...
I think it's obvious when we are explaining it. So
you need to be aware of this, you know, what you're doing there. And I think a big one for us was to take back the responsibility for your own pleasure. You know, I'm just jumping right in there. You know, and I remember us like really speaking out the words, and I'm telling you from this moment on, you are not responsible for my pleasure. I am the one being responsible for my pleasure only. And then you said that from this moment on, I am not responsible for your pleasure. So we claimed back our power, and we also, like, you know, I took back my responsibility for my own pleasure. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of women and men do that. A lot of women actually do that, you know, let's be honest, being like, saying, but you are responsible for my pleasure. You have to know how to pleasure me, you know? And then they are so frustrated. They get so frustrated. I was so frustrated because Christian wouldn't touch me the way I wanted. And I got so frustrated and so sad, and I was crying and I was angry, you know, and helpless. And I think this happens when first I give away all my power. I give it to you and I tell you to please me. But the thing is, I didn't even know what my desires were. And if I didn't know my desires and I didn't tell him, how is he supposed to know? So, you know, just first thing to get out of there is to really take your responsibility for your pleasure back to you. It's your responsibility, yours only.
Yeah.
Your partner is not responsible to please you. It's not responsible for your pleasure. Yeah.
And this sounds a little bit radical.
Yeah, but it is.
But so really get it. So I want to really get that. So take back all your responsibility and take back your power and get it, like you are not responsible for my pleasure and my orgasm and my whatever.
Yeah. You know, and something soft and beautiful that we started with back then was that, you know, I would just start saying, I want to touch you for my own pleasure. And that's a huge one. You know, I would touch him, not to please him, but I would touch him to experience pleasure inside of me. And the beautiful thing out of that was that, first of all, I got to experience that touching him, you know, the smallest movements, they could give me so much pleasure. And also, Christian could feel my pleasure and that gave you pleasure.
Or the touch gives me pleasure.
Yeah, or the touch, but you could feel my energy also, you know. So that's a huge one for all couples, for all people, you know, like in a relationship, that like touching for your own pleasure is something that shifts like everything. And that for us was like a huge step back then.
But this one comes with also granting access to your body, right? Because if you have, and you must be aware of zones and ways you don't want to be touched, because you need a safe place to play that game.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I remember also before I said like, let's talk for, you know, can I touch you for my pleasure? That before that I asked you, what are your boundaries? You know, and you said, actually, I remember that you said, you can touch me everywhere and I'm going to take care of my own boundaries. I'm going to speak them out, but you don't have to take care. And I think it's individual. You guys have to, you know, you have to see for yourself where your own boundaries are, and you have to speak them out, you know, and let your partner know this is my boundary, because he can't know, you know, so it's a huge one.
So the two huge ones we just talked about, and I want to repeat or recap this in a moment, because we are so used that the other one is responsible or is part even of my own pleasure. Like sex with a partner is good or is not good, and it depends on the partner. Yeah. But it never depends on the partner. So our point is to say you are responsible for good sex. You by your own, and nobody else.
Yeah. Keep on going, Schatz. I'm just waving everybody that's there.
Thank you. And yeah, so this is the first step we took. Like claiming back our power, and this means also our responsibility. Like, I'm not responsible for your orgasm. And you are not responsible for my orgasm. So what remains at the end?
Yeah, what is it?
That I have to take care of my pleasure and my orgasm. Yeah. But you, in the way of, or in terms of dealing with your boundaries as well. And here is where communication comes into account, because if you don't communicate the proper way, then it's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Because if you cross others' boundaries, and I think women are very good in letting others cross the boundaries. So it's up to you, also your responsibility, to step for your boundaries and to take care of them.
Yeah, and it's all about really, like, it all starts with knowing yourself, knowing what you want, you know, and speaking it out.
And knowing what you don't want.
Also, yeah. And something beautiful is coming into that, you know, also is like what we call a meeting point. And I think that's the beauty. Like if I touch him for my pleasure and you touch me for your pleasure, there's always like something like a meeting point. And what we mean with that is, and you're going to feel it, it's like where your energies match, where you meet, you know, where your energy meets my energy, and we can both feel like the thin line that is rising the energy more and more and more for you and for me. And it's actually, you know, if I go for my pleasure, it's not like I go for it, you know, and I keep him out of the the lineage. I don't know the German word, the English word, Gleichung. That what?
Equitation. But you don't say that in English.
All right, but you know, I don't just go for it and leave you out of it, but I it's like still that I'm feeling into you, and I want to meet you in this, you know. And that's, I mean, this is where it's so important to slow down and to become really present, to be in the moment. You know, if you rush, you're not going to feel what you desire, but you're not going to feel your partner either.
So this is the next major step, and we're going there very fast today, because it's so huge. I think it's very important, and it's also a big step to take the first and the second step, and then come to the third step. Because again, so the first one was to just be with yourself in terms of I'm responsible for my pleasure. Next step is I can touch you with considering your boundaries and stuff, but for my pleasure. And the next step is that I can, however, connect with you in a sweet spot. I would call it a sweet spot, because it's like there's a spot somewhere where we both have pleasure in terms of receiving and giving. Right? So this is some magical point also. It's a sweet spot. And maybe it's like if you have experience in dancing. Maybe dancing is a good example for this. Because in dancing there's some kind of body language which is not in the consciousness, where the two bodies melt and meet, and you can change direction, and you can just dance without being the man is the one who leads and stuff, but being very, very aware.
You know, I have something. I remember dancing. I danced salsa really well, and there were men, you know, that would really feel me, and it was like really like this flowing, like this sweet spot. And then there were men, and they would swirl me around, and they were not like even connected to me, and they were not connected to my level. They would just do what they wanted to do, and it was a disaster. I hated it, you know. And this is exactly it. You can dance, and you can really connect, because two energies melt. Or you can dance and you're not, you're just doing it for your own pleasure, but you're not connected to the other person. You know, that's what you mean. And I would love to know, like, where can you find yourself in this? Like, what is your experiences? Maybe you want to write in the comments with sexuality right now. Do you feel pressure in your life? Do you know, where do you find it? I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, like, how is your sexuality right now, and how do you relate to the topic of feeling pressure, you know, and goal orientated? Like, what are your experiences with this? You know, and if you can, maybe, what do you feel if we speak about, you know, the way of how to get out of this? And
it's funny, because it's hard to find words for this, because we don't receive it in society, right?
No, we don't.
If you watch movies or whatever, even in soaps, you see only these kind of stereotype. The man has to satisfy the women, or the women have to satisfy the men. So it's always this kind of very codependent relationship.
That's the thing.
And our point is to get rid of this codependency and to be very whole in yourself and your own sexuality.
Yeah, so true.
So, but this is the theory, and from then, what is the connection to the orgasm? Because
what do you mean?
It's a title. It's our
That's
topic.
the title.
Yeah.
So about the orgasm, I think that's a big one. I think a lot of people, all of us, we grow up to believe that sexuality is all about having an orgasm, you know, and that is like
Well, it's the
creating
purpose of sexuality, right?
It's well, and it's not. Okay, let's state this. We don't think it's the true, because I don't think sexuality is about having an orgasm. But that's what we grow up with, you know. And you know, what does it do? Like, think about it a moment. First, it limits sexuality like to a really tiny little bit. You know, that it's all about, sexuality is all about having an orgasm. You know, like it doesn't, well, it doesn't, anyway, it's like so small. It's just like such a small part. But what does it do is like it really puts a lot of pressure on me, on you, you know, because we're going into sexuality, and the moment we begin, we are already at the goal. We are already at the end, because this is where we are going,
We're waiting
right?
for the end. No?
We are waiting for the end.
It's like sitting on the bus station and waiting for the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But you know what happens is that we believe that sexuality is all about being so present in the very moment, like about being really aware, slowing down and just flowing with the energies. But if you are goal orientated, if you want to have an orgasm, how can you be in here and now? How can you just go with the flow, with the journey, you know, and just see what happens? You will always be disappointed if you don't get to the goal.
And even if you got to the goal, it's
then
over.
It's over afterwards, you know. And this is where a lot of pressure, I think, comes from, you know, because if you have a goal and you don't reach it, obviously there's going to be pressure, you know. It's like this masculine energy also, you know, that wants to go somewhere.
And if you're coming from taking into account what we talked before, it's like you're waiting on the bus station, but you have to drive also the bus. So the bus comes and you have to drive to deliver all the people to the right station. So this makes no sense. Yeah. And
who's sending all the hearts? Thank you. Tell us, who is it? Love it.
And I think it's also like goal orientation is so, I don't know, it's like you're wasting all your time. And we are, how long does an orgasm take? It's seconds, or maybe it's minutes, but you have like foreplay about an hour or whatever to reach that goal.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even have the foreplay, you know, and that's the thing. But I want to bring something else, and I know people, you know, who got rid of the orgasm. Like they think sexuality is everything but an orgasm. And that's the same thing, you know. Here again, you have a goal, and the goal is not to reach an orgasm.
Or the other extreme is like you have to be multi-orgasmic.
Yeah.
Because the goal is still the orgasm, and you to extend that feeling, you have to be multi-orgasmic. And now even more pressure is put on it, because now you have to reach that point several times.
Yeah. So what we want to say with it is that sexuality, like, I think the most important thing is that you get rid of the thought that there is a goal behind anything. It doesn't matter if you have an orgasm or if you don't have an orgasm. If you're multi-orgasmic, it doesn't matter. For us, sexuality is two people meeting, you know, like in a sweet spot. And then from this thing, we don't know a lot of times where we are going. We just meet and we feel into our desires, or sometimes I don't even feel them yet, into the energies, and we move together. And, you know, from this moment, like step by step by step, we see where it takes us. And the beautiful thing is, you know, that if you go step by step, you will never be disappointed, because whatever happens is beautiful. You know, it's just the journey is the beautiful. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it reaches like an orgasm, but sometimes it's just us being really intimate. Sometimes it's me pleasuring myself. Sometimes it's Christian watching me pleasuring myself. You know, sometimes I serve him and I have pleasure out of this, but there's like so many ways. And it all unfolds in the moment if you just meet in a sweet spot, and from there you let the journey take you, you know, the energies take you wherever it wants to unfold. And this is where there's not, like, feel into it. There's no pressure anymore. Not at all. And this is what sexuality is for us. It's like sexuality, if you translate it, it's like, it's an energy. And the energies want to flow. you know? So it's all about just following the energy, your sexual energy, your life force energy, and to see where it wants to play. Yeah.
Sounds so easy, but if you've never experienced this kind of energy or life force energy, how do I reach it?
You know, as we said in the beginning, and this is big, and this is something, you know, we could do a whole day workshop out of this, you know, to show you steps. But one thing where you can start really simple. Well, first thing is connect to yourself and connect to the energies within. You know, there's beautiful meditations, there's beautiful practices that you can do to connect to your own energies. If you are not connected to your energies, you need to really feel them first, you know. And then if you want to feel them with your partner, what we did is to just start really easy, you know. For example, take your fingertips and really slowly like caress like a really tiny part of the body and really feel into it, like really, really slow, and allow yourself to really feel and sense it. What do you feel? And go really, really slow, because there you will feel that something is created there in slowing down, right? And in just feeling, what do I like actually? How does it feel? And how does it give me pleasure? I think that's something beautiful to start with yourself and with your partner. Yeah. And you had some beautiful examples earlier. You know, you had like 2 examples and that we want to talk about it. So first you said, imagine your partner comes to you and he says his desire right now is to just fuck you and come in you. He wants to have sex with you. He just wants to. And you said that.
I said that, yeah. So sometimes my desire is to just fuck and not give a shit on, I don't know, being slow or being sensitive or being ooh. So it's just that desire I have. And it sounds contradictory to what we just explained or talked about.
But so, and then I think it's a beautiful example, because well, how can we react? I think a lot of it could bring a lot of pressure inside of me. I could feel a lot of pressure, and actually, if I would stay in my old, how do you say it, in my old energy, then yes, I would have felt a lot of pressure. You know, being like, oh shit, this is what he wants, and maybe I don't. So what?
Because of what?
Because of what?
Yeah.
Because I think in that moment for me, my old thoughts would have told me, oh shit, I need to please him now. I need to perform. I need to do something, right?
You need to orgasm or what?
Maybe, yes. Also that.
Or to be wet
or to be wet, maybe, you know. I need to be there. I need to, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe you expect something from it. But what you can actually do, and this is beautiful, you know, there's so many ways, like you need to, I think it's amazing.
So let's make it practical.
Yeah.
If I would ask you now,
yeah,
I want to really fuck you.
Yeah.
What would be your answer?
There's more. Like maybe there's a time when I would say, okay, let's go for it. I'm so there.
Not today.
And today, actually, I think I would feel into it and I'd be like, you know what, baby, I'm not there right now. I don't feel it. But how does it feel for you if I serve you? Meaning you can have me, you know? And I do this for you. I do this for your pleasure, and your pleasure is I'm going to feel pleasure because of your pleasure, right? That in that moment, it takes away so much pressure from me, because I don't feel like I have to perform, but I'm like really saying right here, this is a gift for you. I'm going to serve you, you know? And you can have me, and I'm going to enjoy your pleasure so much, you know? So that's something that helps me in that moment, that I'm just saying, okay, I'm not there. Maybe I'm not going to orgasm, but I'm going to gift you to this, you know? Or maybe this would be one. The other one would be, okay, listen, I think I'm not there right now that you fuck me, that you penetrate me, but how about I serve you? And maybe, like, you know, finding another meeting point. How would it be like that I kiss or lick your lingam, you know? And I serve you there for you, because right now I don't feel it, you know? And this is how we deal with it. And maybe you get the idea of it, you know, that just because he has a desire doesn't mean I have to have the same desire. I can take the desire, maybe say a holy yes to that, or I can shift it a little bit so that it feels good for me also.
But even if you say holy yes to it, then maybe you understand different things of it than I do. Like, even if it sounds like you have the same desire, it could be a different approach, or in reality it would be different. So it is also a starting point of negotiation.
Negotiation is the big one. You know, and I think I would also say that's one more thing that's so important. I would say you can do that, but don't expect anything from me. You know, like that's so important. And yes, also it's like speaking out your desires also like always is like it opens a door for negotiation.
Yeah.
And I think it would be so important to ask you, okay, what do you mean exactly with it? What do you mean when you say you want to fuck me? Because in my head, I'm creating a picture in my head, but maybe you mean something completely different, you know?
True.
So.
And I think the word negotiation is a little bit strange in the context. But,
I like it.
Yeah, but maybe you get the point out there, because even a no is just the beginning of a journey.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the journey, but the beginning to find this sweet spot again, and where could it be, and where could it start, and
you know, and this is where I think a lot of misunderstanding comes, and a lot of pressure. You know, if somebody speaks out their desire and you are not strong enough in this moment to feel it and tap into yourself, feel your own desire and communicate. So communication is so important.
Yeah, so it's like an old saying, communication is the key. Yeah. And even if it comes to sex, it's even more. Yeah. But I remember when we first met in the early beginning of our relationship, it was like I asked you, what do you want? And you said,
I didn't know. I didn't know. You know, and we talked about this a lot in our last talk also. Like, that's why you do, like, I mean, in this talk, there's a little bit for everyone, you know, for you if you're just starting with this, for you if you're a little bit, you know, advanced already, and this is easier for you. Definitely, it always starts with yourself, you know, and having a good relationship to yourself, knowing your body, knowing your desires, and also if you have blocks inside, definitely to release them, blocks that hold you back from speaking your desires and your limits. You know, yeah, it all starts there. Yes, I'd love to hear from you, beautiful people. Like, whoever is listening, just tell us if you want to, what your experiences are with this, or if you have any questions, let us know. Yeah, and if you have a question, drop it here in the chat. But we have another beautiful example. That is a beautiful one, because we had a coaching just lately. Where this occurred, like in between this beautiful couple, you know, and you came, like, this example was that he said to her, I want to play with you, and I want you to come and to be full of pleasure, you know, I want you to completely let go, to surrender, and to feel pleasure. So
my pleasure would come because you let go and you surrender and you are full in pleasure and bliss.
And also this one is like, it's meant really well, but I think it can also, there can be a lot of pressure in a woman, you know, saying, because if you say that to me, then I'm like, then I would feel pressure actually, you know, because then for me it's like, oh, you want me to come, but then it means already that I have to go somewhere, you know. So something beautiful could be also tap in with yourself. If you feel like something is not feeling 100% good for you, like, stay with that for a moment, then and trust yourself with it, you know. I think that is important. And I think what I would say right now to you would be something like, okay, I love your desire and I get what you mean, you know, and I love you for that. And I just want to say to you, because it's going to help me, that I'm not responsible for your pleasure. So nothing that I do or not do, like, you know, I'm not responsible for your pleasure. And that's one thing that is taking away the pressure from me. And I think the second one would be, don't expect anything from me, you know. I'd love to serve you, but my pleasure is my business, you know. So you can have me. You can just touch me for your pleasure. I'd love to do that, and we can see where it goes. But I just I don't want to be responsible, you know, for your pleasure by doing anything. You know, so in this saying, when the man says, or when you would say, I want you to come for my pleasure, that in a way is like, I want you to do this so I can feel pleasure. And that is not a pure desire, for me at least, you know?
No,
because there's an expectation behind that.
Yeah, it's like the things we talked about in the beginning, I make my own pleasure depend on you.
Yeah.
And our point is to get rid of this kind of link to get your responsibility back for your own pleasure.
Yeah. So, do you want to sum it up again?
Yeah.
We talked about a lot, and maybe it was a little bit chaotic. But I have one more question, actually, that just came in. Oh, let's sum it up first. Let's sum it up first. So, where to start? I think the most important thing that we said today is that performing pressure comes mostly because we believe that the other is responsible for my pleasure. I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings.
Yeah, and I think the first one would be that sex is
about orgasm. Yeah.
It's not about reaching a goal, but it's about the journey itself.
Yeah.
And if you...
Let's make it short. I want to sum it up.
Okay.
So first one.
This was the first.
That sex is not about the orgasm. It's a journey. Second one is...
What you said?
Take back your responsibility. I'm responsible for my pleasure and you're responsible for your pleasure. That's the second one.
And the third one is like there's the sweet spot, the meeting point, and you can reach it by talking.
Yeah, communicating.
Or feeling.
Yeah.
So it's communication is the key.
Yeah, you know, like I think finding a sweet spot is also like either feeling it, or you speak your desire, I speak mine, and we find like the sweet spot in the middle that's good for both of us. You know, and I think that's the key elements, and there's so much more. Like this is maybe, I feel like this is so chaotic because it's such a huge field, but I think this sums it up really well, you know, that
in fact it's easy.
It's easy.
3 steps to your pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we received a question. And I think a lot of men and women, but men can relate to this. So the question was, how do you translate this? The question came in German, ___. If you're a man and you ejaculate, if you masturbate, is the English word?
No, masturbate.
Ejaculate? If you come too early, let's say it like that, too early, what can you do? Like what kind of, like the question was actually, is there any kind of breath work or anything, you know, what can you do? Because I think that is, a lot of men feel a lot of pressure, or women also feel pressure because they think they have to be fast now, you know, because otherwise it's over afterwards. And I'd like to give my response, and maybe you have another one. Mine is, this can only happen because you're already going after a goal again, you know? Like, because then it's like all about the orgasm again, you know? And if it doesn't happen, then you're frustrated. So this is my response, you know?
From which point do you...
From the point of view from the women, maybe, you know? And from the man, because it's like all about the orgasm. And of course, then it's like a thin line there, you know? Like, it's just like one response right now. You know, it would never happen if you... Or I think... it happens less if you open up, and if it's not only about the orgasm, you know, then you would enjoy the journey there, and even if you don't have an orgasm, it can be beautiful. But the question was really, what can you do?
Yeah, and I want to emphasize your answer something, because there is some kind of what's the word for it? Disappointment. Thank you. So in the question there is disappointment in it, because calling it too early is by itself goal oriented. Because if you don't chase a goal, then this event cannot be too early. Yeah. So coming too early is just if you measure the right time and the event.
Yeah.
So even in technical terms, it's not possible. And you ask the question slightly different, like, what can I do because my pussy is not wet fast enough? What would you answer?
You know what? My response would be to that. That actually you interlinked way too early, and then take a lot more time until you feel like your yoni, your pussy is so ready that she's just gonna melt, and that I think I would do that,
You would tell me she has her own intelligence and she's ready when she's ready.
Yeah, and she's ready when she's ready, but you're going to know, and if you are, like, if the penis is so ready but the yoni is not, then wait. Then don't
force it. Yeah.
Force it.
But my point is, there's a body part and it has its own intelligence, and what it says, it's right.
Yeah.
So why are women trying to turn this upside down in terms of male ejaculation? It's never too early because it cannot be too early. Yeah. And when this penis wants to ejaculate, it ejaculates. So end of story.
It's true.
It's the right time. It's divine timing, and there is no
perfect. Yeah.
too early on it.
So maybe and if you say that, then it's just about changing the narrative, changing how you interact. That's the thing, Like, don't blame it on your pussy. Don't blame it on the penis. They are completely right. Like, if my pussy is not ready, she's not ready. If she's coming, she's coming. If your penis is like ejaculating, it's happening. It's right there.
And when he's not hard,
and if he's not hard, he's not hard, and they're not wrong in that moment. It's just what it is. So if it is that way, then change the interaction, change what you're doing, and try another thing. So, that is going to that's going to please you both, and also, like, it doesn't have to be the end. If you come inside of me and my pussy is not satisfied, like, then just keep on going. Like, there's many ways that you can please my pussy, or I can please my pussy. If I'm not, I could just please my pussy and be like, thank you, baby, I need my time to to please my pussy now also. But to answer the question, what can you actually do? Do you have something you can do if you feel like there's a lot of, orgasmic energy, like, in order to take more time, because you're so good at, like...
Yeah, but I want to stop the story here.
Yeah.
Because all what it creates is the pressure in our mind and our belief system that's not right.
Yeah.
And of course there are techniques and ways to circulate energy or to breath or whatever. But then you're again at I have goal orientation. I have to postpone this goal a little more.
So she's happy and then I'm happy, Yeah.
It's the same story, but with more advanced techniques. And this is bullshit, actually.
Yeah. Maybe this is not the response you were expecting, but maybe I think that's exactly it. Sometimes it's time to completely step out of the story,
Yeah.
And
there are so much more ways of receiving pleasure, giving pleasure,
then interaction,
then body-wise interaction.
Yeah. Or then yoni, lingam being in yoni, or penis being in pussy. A lot of times this is not even what we do, and we have so much pleasure, I think it's like 10% of the sex life we experience. Yeah, and we do have, like, if we interact, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful, beautiful people, whoever is listening now or who's listening later. Even so, this felt like it's like a little bit chaotic. I hope you could get out a little bit out of this. We'd love to hear from you, your comments, your thoughts on this. Would be amazing.
Yeah, and if you have questions for this time or for the next time, for a following call, just drop us a line, and we are happy to take it and speak about it.
Yes, definitely. All right, so hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful evening. We are going to be live for the next couple talk again next week, Thursday at 7 p.m.
This time 7 p.m.
7 p.m. So it's going to be 1 hour later. And
Yeah, we're looking forward.
We're looking forward to you guys. Many kisses to you. It was so good to have you. Thank you for the hearts. We love you. Bye, beautiful people. Mwah.
See you later. Bye.